A very good evening to our viewers. Thank you for joining us on this very special broadcast. We are coming live from Marinthal in the Hardap region, and it is our fifth town hall meeting ahead of the November 27 election, where we are engaging representatives of different political parties and leaders of society to share with us their ideas for the country, especially those that are vying for the office or whose parties are vying for the office to lead this country. Tonight in Marinthal, we are joined by, first and foremost, Mr. Roger Klute. He is a representative of the United People's Movement, UPM. Thank you, Uncle, for making time.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, just your mic. And and then we are joined by Mr. Gerson Dausab. He is the regional head of the Landless People's Movement here in Hardap Region. Thank you very much, Gerson, for making time.
Thank you for inviting me to the panel.
Yeah, wonderful. And last but not least is Karen Pitt. She is a representative of the Popular Democratic Movement here also in Hardap Region. Thank you very much, Karen, for making time.
Thank you, Toivo, and thank you for having me.
Yeah, wonderful.
And good evening, listeners.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you. Thank you very much. Let's start with Mr. Dausab. You are the you are the leader of the government in this region. LPM is the ruling party, if you like, for Hardap region. And we want you to give us an assessment of how it has been leading this region for the past 4 years. You don't have to tell us all the successes yet, because we are going to get into those details later. But maybe your experience as a party, a new party, leading this region.
Thank you, Trevor, and also the listeners. Good evening. What I must say is, not whatever we call it, but the region is governed by Landless People's Movement. On the regional level, there is 8 seats or 8 constituencies, and out of them 7 has been taken over by LPM. I'd be wearing 2 hats today, because the questions that you would ask would be some governmental in terms of, governing here, but also our political party and what we stand for and what we desire for the people to have. Now, I must say that for the first time in the history of Namibia, a whole region has been taken over by a political party, which is Landless People's Movement. That's very historical. And I don't think the ruling party was ever ready to face such a situation where even the local authorities has been taken over. Out of the 8 local authorities, 5 are governed majority by LPM. And then we have got in Riebot with Ritma together governing Riebot, and then the majority also in Aranos, and then with Kalgrand in an agreement or understanding together with IPC. So this whole region is not governed by Sabo Party. The bigger problem then is the representative of the central government to the region, the governor, which serves at the pleasure of the president without executive and administrative powers, want to impose powers that is not there, or wanted to. And then we had a big problem in terms of understanding, but our interpretation of Article 102, subsection 3, that says that, and there will be councils, and those councils in the regional councils and local authorities would be the principal governing bodies, if with executive and administrative powers. And therefore, and I think maybe it's a deliberate move from the ruling party to have always an influence in the regions through the office of the president. And therefore, that struggle has been going on. But we managed in the region to then deal with that matter. And I think politically maturely, we dealt with the matter to the extent that we got to the place where we said, but we are working here to restore the dignity of our people, and not in terms of an interpretation, but to serve the people on the ground. And that is the bigger call. And on that call, we have decided to then come together and try and serve the people to the best of their abilities.
Yeah, absolutely.
That is where we are at this moment.
Absolutely. I think the next question will go to the official opposition in the country, which is PDM. I think I must just clarify to our audience that the ruling party, SWAPO, was invited to this platform. Governor Solomon April tendered his apology, and we then tried to speak to Ms. Gontes, who is the party's regional coordinator here in Hardap, who did not give us a favorable answer, because we would have wanted to have the ruling party here. Of course, it's the national ruling party as much as it is an opposition party in the context of Hardap region. So this imbalanced panel would have been much, much more balanced if the ruling party had honored our invitation. Now, to you, Karen, it has been proven now that actually the ruling party can be defeated in this part of the country. PDM, as the official opposition party in the country itself, how do you, of course you wouldn't just say, oh, because a fellow opposition party is in power now, we are happy. You would want to take this region over yourselves as a party. What will it take for you to do that? What are your chances, as a matter of fact?
At the current state, I believe the PDM has a great chance of taking over this region due to the fact that through this past 5 years and the ruling, of course, of LPM, there's been also a lot of slack and lack, coming to the sense that development has really been standing still. I believe there has not really been much of a development, and much of concern of misguiding, mismanagement, a lot of propaganda, just concerns that unnecessary petty things that could have been resolved on amicable manner with various other stakeholders, which are also councillors and so on, and their own party members. So I think LPM has done a lot of harm to themselves, and that is also a concern for the voter. And because of that, I believe the voter can seriously look and see to say that it would be great to give PDM that chance again, because looking back at previous times that PDM was in ruling in these regions, there was a lot happening, especially Mariental. I mean, look at Mariental. Look at the amazing development that has taken place under the management of PDM, which was previously a DTA. And also, if you look at historical concerns or historical development within Riebeek, there was a lot of development taking place. I think my concern here is for the voter, of course, and that the voter should know that when you go out and vote, whether it's on local authority or on regional or on presidential or even National Assembly, that you should be aware that you cannot just vote based on excitement and arrivals. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? You cannot just vote on excitement. You need to vote on experience and a track record. And PDM has really shown through the years that they have kept the pace, and they have really, through the years, given the voter that voted for them, and even those that didn't, the confidence that it stood out and it fought for the nation. Our president has done that so many times. So all we're asking from the voter this time is, lend us your vote. Lend us your vote. Look at the vast landscape that Hardap has. Look at all the infrastructure that can be done here. And look at the talent of Hardap. There's so much talent in this town, especially even Marienthal, and the intellectual ability of students. So if that opportunity comes for you to go and vote, and if you have registered to vote, I believe it is time that you borrow us your vote so that we will be able to show you that we are not just saying we will, because we know as a party that we are so capable of making a difference.
Yeah.
There are so many things that people don't look at, Toivo, when it comes to this region. And I believe we will continue to talk about those concerns,
yes,
and what PDM can really offer the voter,
yes,
in the Hardap region. And seriously, we can make the grass very much greener than it is now, because
okay,
there is no greenness here.
okay, okay.
Yes?
I think, Gerson, you deserve a chance, but to respond to...
I so much would like to respond on,
But
but I think
yeah,
it
let
would
me
be good
give
if we
Roger
give him
just a chance quickly
before I can
to break
respond
the
on
ice,
that
and then you can respond to Karen. Roger, UPM did not stand independently in the last election, especially the 2019 election. You went into some sort of alliance with PDM, and that ended in your MPs actually being chucked out of parliament because the leaders of your party supported Ali Angula, and your party members are currently not in parliament because they are seen to have betrayed PDM in that sense. Do you have any information? I know that you're not the overall party leader, but do you have any information if your party this time around will stand on its own, or whether it will seek another alliance because perhaps it is afraid to stand on its own?
Good evening, people. Thank you for having me here. Yeah, you know what? These things that already happened, it's tough luck for us. You know that we have encountered problems with the ECN.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's why our Ms. Ali, who together with us, she could not make it.
Yes.
It's because of faulty things that ECN offers, but we have to accept that it already it's been done. It happened. Yeah. I think UPM have a chance on the end of the day, because if I see since independence, it seems to us that all the parties look away from the most essential problems that we encounter since independence. For example, our salaries are still the same, for our non-white people are still the same. Land, for example, is still the same. We have to struggle to get a small piece of land, So I think UPM, on its slow way, will on the end of the day make something, to assist our country.
Yeah. Do you have any information whether you are going to stand in this election, and if so, independently?
No, I'm not sure, because I was not in the last talk that we was having with the president, that he was saying that we are waiting for the outcome.
Okay.
Yeah, so I didn't have any latest information about that one.
I hear you.
Yeah.
Okay. So thank you for that introduction. Mr. Dawsab, your answer to... You see, Ms. Pitt says that your leadership of the region did not really bring anything exciting.
I think where we need to start is, we need to start from who is it that is making these comments.
Yeah.
Because the party that is making that comment had equal opportunities since independence. And they did absolutely nothing and were scooped up by Sobo Party at the end of the day. They had the chance. If they had done better, the electorate would have remained with them. That just tells me that they lost trust in the then DDA, now the PDM, and therefore for them to make that kind of statements is contradictory. But What I'm saying before I could get to, the success stories is this government has never faced the kind of onslaught that LPM has ever given to SWAPO party. Never. Not PDM, not RTP, no COD, no nothing. Not because we are the strong, but because we are offering the alternative to govern this country. PDM being a right-wing party all along, for now, the only leftist party that is coming with an alternative and a young, vibrant minds that are coming up with answers to the problems that we are facing in this country. And we are not dealing with only a region, but an holistic approach in terms of the governance of the country.
Yeah.
And that's the answer that we have. And I think at this moment, for instance, and I would like to, rebut and say, for instance, our motion that we have put through in the parliament in terms of the electricity and water bills, that one sparked an engagement, but also an activity within the cabinet that they needed to write on that specific motion so that it doesn't look like Landless People's Movement brought this up and try to bring in ideas from their side as if it looks like it's theirs. For instance, the 12.5 million that they have given to the Marintal Town Council to buy electrical and water meters, that was sparked by Landless People's Movement in the National Assembly. And I can't even think of one specific idea that came from PDM all the years along. And then they are the official opposition in the parliament. Yet, you don't see the concrete but the substance of the contributions that they do make that shakes the SWAPO party in the parliament to drag along or try to follow the footsteps of a young party only represented by 4, which is at this moment, I think, radical, vibrant, but very innovative in terms of the articulation of the laws of the country and how we understand. So for us here, for instance, in Marintal, we are giving, and this is the only political party that says that the land belongs to the people. It doesn't belong to a political party, but it belongs to the people. And therefore, Landless People's Movement is the only political party with evidence, for instance, now where we are sitting, that are giving land for free to members of the community here, paying zilts and allowing people to at least be restored in terms of their dignity and have a sense of belonging in this country and not feel as they are foreigners in their own country. These are but some of the ones that I can mention. So definitely, it's green on the other side.
It's green on the other side.
It's definitely green on the other side.
Okay. So Karen, tell me, do you think that your posture as a political party is also a disadvantage to you? Because you are a largely liberal party. And in a country like ours, where resources, the distribution of resources continues to be one-sided in favor of the previously advantaged people, that you are not radical enough to shake the fundamentals of, for example, land ownership and all these kind of things. Do you think that your party needed to be more radical, needed to be more leftist, maybe, in order really to attract the vote of particularly a region like this, where so many people are looking for land, they are looking for the basics? Do you think it worked to a disadvantage?
Not necessarily, not necessarily. At this stage, looking at currently the ruling party in this region, and looking at what could have been done and what changes could have been made, I would really say, and with the new leadership, and that is Honorable McHenry Venani. This is a leader with vision. This is a leader that implements. He doesn't just speak, he implements. Look at the regions like Opuo and those areas where he has been ruling for all this time, and look at the development. Look at various development that has taken place and the way he has been leading and the way he has been doing things. And not only him, but the whole management and leading team of PDM. And to say it from a political point of view, LPM has failed the Hardap region. UPM has failed the Hardap region. I understand how the voter felt at that time when Swart Boy came into power as a leader of LPM. People were looking at him as a son of the soil because he is from the south, and they entrusted their vote in him. I don't believe it is about PDM, losing trust in PDM or anything like that. It was a thought of, this is our son, the son of the soil. But the son of the soil has still left this region unemployed, undeveloped. And yes, you can say you've given meters, water meters, but how many boreholes have you drilled? How many people have you taken out of poverty? How many jobs have you created? What have you really done in this region to benefit the community, to benefit the people? Are you aware that this region is struggling so badly that mothers are giving their children tombo from a tombo house because they are saying that that is the cheapest way to give, to provide for their children, $1.50. We have so many malnourished children. Are LPM really seriously looking at the problem on the ground? Are they really seriously looking at providing or bringing in investment so that this region can be shaken and developed? Look at Riobort, look at Marienthal, look at the surrounding towns. It occurs that certain towns are coming down to being villages again instead of becoming municipalities. That is not good. That is not good governing.
Yeah.
And we cannot continuously blame it on anybody else. If you are in governance, you need to seriously fight and stand for your people to make sure that there is a difference. Talking about UPM, Eliangula situation, how will UPM be able to manage and run this region if they cannot even make a decisive decision where and with whom they want to be in bed with? I mean, that is serious concerns.
I hear you.
Yes, and then you don't even know what you're going to do next, whether you are going to be running in the elections or not. These are serious concerns. And when it comes to LPM saying that, yes, we have the youth, I mean, really look at PDM. We are continuously fighting for the youth. We are continuously standing up so that the youth can have a better future.
I hear you.
And we are leading with that. PDM is leading with that. And yeah. I can assure you that looking at our manifesto, seeing what we have planned for this country, and knowing that we are obviously the better alternative. We are the official opposition. We have been countering the current government in so many factors. And coming back to the fact that you are saying your motions has been tabled in the parliament. Who has been tabling the most motions in parliament? Currently, Winnie Munoz motion that was tabled, one of the biggest developments and biggest achievements in this country, that we have now established a dialysis center. These are serious things that I can say, and there is evidence what PDM has done.
I see. Now let's. You've made a very good point, Roger. The shots have been fired here.
Yes.
Your party is under attack. Apparently, you are just a party that doesn't know where it's going. You're just there. Tell us about perhaps what has been your main achievements. I know that you are a relatively small party in terms of the number of seats, for example, that you've won in the Rehoboth Town Council. I know that you also had some seats in a seat in Okahanja. But perhaps explain to, it's a small party in that sense. Maybe tell us what this party stands for, really.
You know what, actually, I cannot really elaborate, on what happened, The reason that I'm really here for UPN is to represent actually the disabled and the elderly people.
Okay.
So what we can do, or to talk about with the other parties, what we can do to alleviate the problems that we encounter so long.
What is UPM's plan for people like yourself?
Yeah, UPM's plan for our people, especially for our people with different disabilities.
Yeah.
UPN will try to restore our dignity, because even our own people in our land, they doesn't have any respect for our elderly people and our disabled people. That's why there are so few that has been done, to assist us.
Yeah.
Especially if you see to what the government, for example, did for us. He give us incentives in the form of for food for dry relief.
Yes.
Yeah.
Drought relief.
Yeah. They give us. But the way the people are, the current ruling parties, or the people who are current in the ruling positions, the way they are ruling the stuff, it is totally, it's very humiliating. So we want to change that. Especially for the disabled and the eldest people. The opportunities for our people, there's none. Especially sport. We was having sport, for activities, but nowadays there's nothing for us. Like our comrades from the Kokabango cry is that we doesn't have any opportunities. And to get even one of the incentives from the government, the current government from LPM, to get one of the incentives which is available there, it is very hard to get it. So we will try to concentrate on the main thing, and in terms of land. Land also we have a problem, because if you see, we are now on the brink of drought. Our dam is running empty. But I never heard any of these political parties, these current runners, they are talking about our present problem that we are facing now. I think we have a plan on that plot issue, because it's only a small amount of people, or small group, that really have, this generational, access, like the white people, who can have plots there and who produce, grains and vegetables and stuff for themselves, but not for Marintal. Really doesn't benefit from that plots there, from the white community. We doesn't really benefit, because all the products that they are building there is for to export it. Most of them is for export purposes, and then the other products, which is what is over, is now for normal customers. So that shows to us that that community does nothing for us.
Let me ask you this, Roger. If the ruling party was here, I'm just being a devil's advocate now here. Okay. I don't know what they would have said, but I would imagine that logically they would say, for example, in terms of disabled people, there are grants designed specifically for disabled people. For the elderly, they will argue that there's actually that old age pension, which was increased also, I think, by $200 this year by the Minister of Finance. Yeah. They would argue that they're actually doing enough for the two groups.
Yeah, that is not, that cannot be enough. If you see out of our point of view, the disabled people, we get the special grant, the disabled grant. But in terms of the old age people get the old age grant. Yeah. But with the old age grants, they also get the GIPF, because they was working through the years, so they are lucky to have that GIPF grant also to assist them. Yeah. But there's also one factor that we will definitely address is that our disabled people, we get that 1,600.
Yeah.
But that cannot be enough in nowadays economic life. It is totally too little.
So in your situation, do you get both for being disabled and also for old age, or do you
That's
just...
the point I wanted to make clear now. No. You know, that is the problem that we are facing. Just because of that fact that we only get the disabled grant. So when we turn 60, there's not a adding of the other grant, you know, of the old age grant to our already existing grant. There's no, that old age grant doesn't come.
It falls away.
It doesn't come together with us. So which means they assume, or I don't know what are they thinking, you know, to do it like that.
Yeah.
They assume that the disabled grants should be just went over, you know, to the old age. That is a big mistake. That's why most of our people, they are struggling today. Most of our elderly people, especially disabled people, we are struggling.
I hear you.
Because in this, like I said, in this economic conditions, it is really nothing.
Absolutely.
The small amount that we are getting. Don't understand me wrong. We are faithful for that. I mean, we are thankful for that.
Yeah.
That the government gives us at least, but they have to make it better.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, thank you. Our audience later will be getting an opportunity also to engage my guest here. But Mr. Dausa, tell me about the intricacies of ruling a region in a country that is ruled by a different ruling party. I'm asking this question, for example, in the context of, you know, there are many things that cannot happen in this region at the whims of LPM. Something that you want to drive, a program that you want to drive, a radical thing that you want to drive in the region, but without the blessings and intervention and assistance of the central government, you cannot proceed with those things. Are there any specific issues of that nature that you can cite, or are you fully in charge?
Twebo, let me start off by saying you will have to experience what LPM is experiencing under a unitary state. Suffocation, sabotaging of the highest order. To the extent, for instance, that in terms of a development budget, some local authorities got 3,000 Namibian dollars, others got 6,000, others got 10,000. That is the suffocation, the measure of the suffocation, but also the sabotaging that goes along. To the extent that we had meetings with the National Planning Commission's Director General and his team, and we were asking them, how do you develop a town with 3,000 Namibian dollars? How do you do that? Now, from LPM side, we said, okay, let's go and let's tell them exactly what we think. And for instance, we went to Roads Authority, for instance. We said, Roads Authority, listen, you are giving us money, or RFA money. Each town getting 400,000, the other one get 1.8. And I think in the year 2021, when we had this meeting with them, we said, this is one region. We've got 8 towns. And the total amount, for instance, is 21 million at that stage, that they wanted to give 21.4 million, I think. And we were saying, listen, in terms of the road infrastructure in the local authorities, for instance, Kalgrand might have only 4 or 5 kilometers of road. Why don't you give the money in totality, holistically, split it, and, for instance, give a 7 or 8 million Namibian dollars to Kalgrand at one stage, so that the whole town then be tarred, and then you can move over to Stambrid, or you can split the 20 million into 2 or 3 towns. That did not happen. It was a deliberate move by the authorities to go against what we have proposed. You must also understand that when LPM as leadership came in, because with us, the party leads the government, and therefore the understanding of us was when we are doing something, it must be holistic. Let's go and check, for instance, the issue of electricity. With electricity, these local authorities have been struggling for the past 13, 14 years with the red. We came in, and for the first time, we said, NemPower will not be part and parcel of the formation of a red, because it's our understanding that the long lines in terms of the supply of electricity belongs to NemPower, and they must deal with the maintenance of those lines. Because when they are supplying electricity, they are getting to whatever metering, and thereafter in the local authority. That's the responsibility of the local authority, and we as local authorities and the regional council said, now let's take our responsibility, let's come together, and if we hold hands together, we can then deal with the problems that we have. At this moment, our electricity now in terms of the lifespan is close to around the 30% remaining, meaning 70% of the infrastructure is going. And we need to deliberately work on something. And it's now for 3 years that we are struggling with the Minister Tom Alwendo, the Minister Erastus Utoni. Today, I wrote 2 letters again to the 2 of them to say, but what is your problem? Because we are trying to get an answer to the problem of electricity, which is an integral part to economic development in the region and the 2 regions. Whilst the bill in terms of debt is escalating at that point.
Yeah.
So what I must say from our side as LPM is we not look individually to issues, because with the regional council, we are macro in terms of the region, and therefore we must look to those things that have got a macro impact on the whole of the region. The regional council, for instance, took a resolution 2 years ago. We said the 5% that is owned by O to be paid to the regional council. We are going to use that 6 million Namibian dollars that is coming from the local authorities, and we are going to buy 6,000 to 8,000 electrical boxes and give it back to the community for free and electrify. These are tangible decisions taken, waiting to be implemented, so that in every house in the Hardap region, when you switch on the light, you would know LPM has brought light to the region.
To the region. Thank you. I have a follow-up question for you, Mr. Dausab. At the very center of your ideology as a party is the issue of land. Mr. Klute here just mentioned that the land fundamentals in the region remain unshaken, that the previously advantaged people who have historically owned the means of production are still owning those plots. Is it something within your power as the regional leadership, or is it something that can only be changed at a national level?
Trevor, I must tell you one thing. The only political party in Namibia that leans toward a federal state is LPM in terms of constitution. PDM doesn't have it, UBM doesn't have it, SWAPO does not have it, no one has it. And we bank on those constitutional provisions that are made in terms of Article 102 that says the principal governing body is the region. And we are trying to get to those places, but the unitary state has got all the powers and are so afraid for devolution. Even the first step of decentralization, they do not want. And therefore, they are keeping everything in order to hold power. And that's the problem. Like, for instance, those lands and pockets of lands, the 10 hectares and the 5 hectares and the 6 hectares that are here as plots. It doesn't go through the regional council, it goes through Ministry of Agriculture. It does. If that had been in the hands of Landless People's Movement, we would have made changes already, huge changes. The issue of land, let's say for instance in the Rebod rural constituency, the issue of land is very central to the dignity of our people.
Yes.
The Report rural constituency, for instance, is 12,000 square kilometers of land, of which the government only owns or has in its power, in order of governance, 100 square kilometers.
Yeah.
Only 100. While there is a 12,000 square kilometers of land owned by individuals. And that's where the bigger problems are. And maybe, and that's exactly what LPM is saying, we must expropriate with just compensation in the best interest of the public.
Yeah.
And the only political party that is driving that agenda to give dignity, but also to give the sense of belonging in this country is LPM. Yeah. We went to Tumes Park, for instance, and the owners wanted to get the people away from Tumes Park. We said, not on our watch. It will not happen on our watch. And I think whoever political party was before us, they failed the people.
Yeah.
Because PDM was there when they were DDA. SWAPO, before we took over, was there, and they didn't answer the call, to the extent that they took people from Habaset and put them at Haribes, and now that town or little place where people had their lives on, their graves and their ancestral graves are there. Yeah. That little town has become a ghost town of 10, 15 little houses that are standing there. We say, no, that's wrong. That's so wrong, because your history, your ties to the ground also determines your character, but also your identity as to where you come from. So these things are intertwined. Yeah. You can't, when we are dealing with a governance issue in a region and in a country, only deal with one specific thing, because these things are intertwined. If you deal with this, you have to deal with the other, you have to deal with the other. From our side, in this region, there is no vocational training center. There is a skills development center, Kaikanahab, which was handed over last year. It is not a vocational training center. We started together with Mr. Fries in Gibeon. We started a vocational training center from scratch because he had the desire, but he had also the understanding as to how does a vocational training operate. Yeah. And therefore, the regional council, under the leadership of Landless People's Movement, started that. And people are studying there right now, whilst the people of the region is suffering.
Is that a privately owned VTS?
That's a privately owned one, yes.
Okay. No, wonderful. Just to the audience, if we can just keep our phones on silent so that we can really have a proper conversation and understanding of what is going on here. Karen, the sense that I'm getting, this constant changing of political parties, where the DTA / PDM now sort of dominated this area in the past. Then SWAPO took over. SWAPO dominated this region for some time, and then LPM came in. The message that I'm getting from the voters is that they are constantly looking for that one solution. Because with DTA, the things remain the same. With SWAPO, things remain the same. And then they brought in LPM hoping that this time around might be someone who will find solutions for us. But that is in the past. What is PDM offering now? Because you just told the voters in your introductory remarks to say, vote for us again. To do what?
Under the new leadership, which is now also the new name, which is PDM, this new leadership, which is the Honorable McHenry Venani, which is a younger, more vibrant, more resilient, and a very, very brave leader. Look at what he has just done today. He stood up for corruption, number one. And the greatest thing that he's looking at is to restore the humanity of human, to restore that dignity that we have lost as Namibians. And for us to know as voters and for you to know as voters that Hardap Region voting for McHenry Venani, you will be assured, it's what he said also at his recent rally. Look at the Nama people, look at the Buster people, look at their culture and what they are doing. And he made it clear that, you know, putting up a factory in the first place, putting up a factory for making shoes, imagine how much development that would bring. Just making school shoes for every single child in Namibia to wear a shoe that comes from its own country.
Yeah.
We have been exporting leather sheets and leather for so many years. And then the raw product goes out and a product comes back which is too expensive. Whilst we can do a finished product within Namibia. And seriously, when you look at the Hardap region, it's one of the richest regions in the country. Its natural resources, a simple example, the herbs in this region. It is something that is being so much overlooked. The kamaku, imagine how much kamaku is exported on a yearly basis to Europe, to other countries. And coming back as a refined product. And how is it refined? It is made into a powder format, which our people know how to do and which they have been doing for all these years. Look at all these things. Look at the aloe vera plant.
Yeah.
This is also an indigenous plant within this region. Look at the alvein. Look at all these things that are there already. Yeah. The small stock farming. If that, based on our manifesto, if that is implemented, that small stock farmers and farming associations are financed by the government and seeding is provided, like for green scheming and for agriculture. That is one of our biggest plans for this new government. If you give us that chance, if you give us that opportunity, if you lend us your vote, we can make that borrowing that you have given, we can turn it into a very lucrative thing for our country's people to have a decent livelihood.
Yeah.
Our resources will not just go out anymore. Our resources will be there to work for us. And we will then be having a finished product. Look at our health sector, current situation with our health sector. If you look at the mental rollover, patient rollover, there is not even enough medication for mental patients in the Hardap region. Mental patients are roaming the streets. There is no sheltering. And yes, we can say LPM is ruling and LPM can say, or whoever can say, yes, we are being blocked by the government for this and this. But we as town councils has the authority to donate property and to develop this property to provide sheltering for our people. Yeah. When somebody is homeless in this Hardap now, the person is physically on the street.
Yeah.
And what I've just spoken about with the babies, our government, the PDM government, the next and new and the incoming government will make sure that healthcare is there available for our people. Imagine somebody that is on a farm has to travel several kilometers. What if that person gives premature birth on the road? That baby is lost forever. But with the PDM government, medical centers will be within reach. And you will have universal health. Education will be looked at. We will be looking at our education system. How can a child be told at grade 11, this child is approximately 16, 17 years old, that no, you cannot continue, you cannot proceed, there's nowhere to go. That is why our crime rate is so high. That is why our drug situation, and especially in this region, is so high. That is why we are sitting with so much concerns, and it needs to be resolved, and PDM has the solution.
I'll revert back to you.
It has the proper solution, and it's not a promise. We are not making promises. We know what we are capable of, and we know that we will not do it, but we definitely will implement it. And if you are saying PDM is making empty promises, let me tell you something. PDM has not been in ruling of this country. So which empty promises has it made? There was no promises implemented.
You were the ruling party from the 1970s. From the 1970s.
1970s.
PDM was.
Hi, Toivo.
I want to add this point. We need to make a separation between the executive arm of state and the legislature.
Yeah.
That's where we need. When we are saying we are governing as a political party, we are standing right under the executive. Okay, and that's where the decision in terms of the cabinet is made. And that's where PDM is not. And they don't feel the pinch of what SWAPO is directly doing to the Landless People's Movement. You see, there is issues that we need to deal with. For instance, the issue of education. The issue of education came way before LPM's formation, and PDM/DDA then was already there, and they had been dealing with the issue. And when we come in, we said, let's say for instance, and specifically and particularly to the Hardap region, when we came into being, in terms of governance, we went and assessed what the statistics was and is in the region, to the extent that there was between 4,000 and 5,000 children and learners that dropped out of school. And we had this big fight, we couldn't understand. And then the director then, Mr. Dafanongo, add on fuel on that one and wanted to close down schools that he said was uneconomical. For instance, the Tumes Park school, the Klapgat school, he wanted to close down those schools. And that's where we had the problem, to the extent that we needed to go the extent and suspend him from, or fired him from the office, which we put us in loggerheads with the whole of the cabinet. PDM, RDP, UPM never experienced that.
Yeah.
It is LPM.
I hear you.
We have reduced that 5,000 numbers down to around just above 2,500 now in terms of the dropouts. We do believe one child dropping out of school is way, way too much. And therefore, we have got still a challenge in terms of that. The policy says, for instance, a child must not walk away 5 kilometers from home to school. That is applicable, for instance, in Okatiali constituency, where that constituency is about 59 square kilometers.
Did you say Okachali?
Okatiali, yes. Okatiali. Yes. Okatiali. Okay, Okatiali. How do you call it? I'm not a Shivambo here. Are you fine?
No, yeah, it's
Maybe
fine.
you've got a Shivambo friend, so. But that constituency is 59 square kilometers. My constituency is 12,000 square kilometers. For that whole of the people in that constituency, they can move 6 kilometers and 10 kilometers, left to right and north to south. It's easy to implement that policy. When a child in Kalgrand finishes grade 7, that child needs to move the closest to Danefeld, which is 21 kilometers away. That policy, that blanket policy, is not the right policy, because there is demographics that is not the same. And therefore, the blanket approach that the government is using is not working. And therefore, the results in terms of the failure rates in schools, because parental involvement has been taken away, and the children are going alone, for instance, to boarding schools, to hostels, and then they are trying out things because the parent is no more.
Yeah.
And the teachers are not taking that role of a parent, because they said, I'm not your father, I'm not your mother. I'm here to only do what I'm supposed to do here. And then you can go and do whatever they do. I don't want to hit back to the teachers, but I also think any child in this country, as was in the future, when I grew up as a little child, any child was a child of a parent passing by.
Yeah.
Okay, been sent by any person and would obey. If that is not happening and your father hears that you disobeyed a parent, you would be whipped.
Yeah.
So the problem that we have is not a single problem. The problem, for instance, that PDM is talking about is an issue of the reform of the banking system.
Yeah.
Let's say, for instance, Agribank. Agribank is a development bank, okay, in the agricultural sector. You cannot, for instance, as a development bank, give 400,000 to go and restock, yet you do not have a plan in terms of monitoring, in terms of assisting this farmer, because you are specific in a sector agriculturally to deal with this matter so that these people become profitable in the business that they do and become successes in the business that they do. And that's the problems that we do have. And now agribanks becomes those ones that repossesses those that are trying. Development Bank of Namibia, for instance, only giving loans but do not follow up. There must be a system by evaluating, by monitoring, by continuously assisting on a continuous basis and help them and try and find out and make this country an industrialized country at the end of the day. The last point that I want to add, for instance, is we've got water problems here, for instance. The dam levels are getting below 7 now, and we've got problems. We are saying, link the Nekatel Dam with the Hardap Dam, and the one of them with reverse pumps. Pump the water and allow Hardabians and Carisians, I call them Carisians in Karas, allow them also to tap raw water, just like our brothers is doing water coming from Kaluek with an open channel. And we think that open channel issue is also not right, because you've got evaporation that is going down there. Why don't we have an enclosure in terms of a pipe and allow everyone to tap off the water, because water is a resource that we have. That benefit that my brothers have there, where they only put in a pump and can irrigate, for instance, 2 hectares and 3 hectares of land is not available to the same Namibians down south. Whilst we have a dam, much bigger, with lots of water. And I think the only reason that the Minister of Agriculture, Carlos Slightwine, does not want to release some of these things so that we go into irrigation is maybe because LPM is in governance here, and it would look like LPM is prospering and therefore shining, you know, and then taking the limelight. And these things are not right. We must focus on developing the land.
Absolutely.
Developing the land.
Absolutely. We are going to engage our audience in a minute, but Uncle Roger, please talk to us about all these opportunities that people are talking about in the south. Of course, some of these opportunities do not exist in Hardap itself. It's more in Karas, the oil discoveries, the green hydrogen talks. As a person at your age, and who also is physically challenged, is there anything specific or special that must be arranged just for people like yourself? Or do you say, nah, we are all Namibians, we might just benefit equally? Do you want a special provision meant for people like yourself?
Yeah, you know what, we see a lot of opportunities for our people here in our land. Like my comrade said, you know, we have a lot of resources, natural resources, but we have been blocked to make use of it, you know, because there's certain laws on the resources. That one is also very, very bad, you know, that we cannot use our own resources in our land. I think that we we can, for example, establish recreational training centers in each region. You know, to cater for the most people around there, the elderly and the disabled people. And in terms of employment creation, you know, and maybe opportunities also for us, you know, to work, is we're thinking about gemstone factories, you know, to put up factories in our regions, you know, because we have a lot of minerals. But it's only the so-called people who come, you know, overnight or without even knowing, they come and collect our stuff and they took it back. So, and then they make our raw product, make it a finished product, and then they sell it very highly. So I think we have a lot of opportunities. It's like you guys are talking, you know, DTA was there together with the government, and the government is there. But like I said in the beginning, the most essential stuff, the things that do really concerns us, is in the first place, our salaries still stay the same. Why can our salaries not be the same level as the white people, for example? Why should, if I go to SPAR now, for example, and I have high qualifications, and I go to SPAR for a job, and I got the job, I will not get the same salary as the white person. So that one should be changed, you know. They should have changed it already, you know, when the new government SWAPO take the land over. They should have changed that one. Because, you know, salaries and skills, you know, our people also, we have skills. We can even plow this land along the riverside, you know. But there's no access, like my brother said. You have to go through agriculture to get the plot there. We have also a lot of talented people, you know, who can really produce home products, you know, from our soil. But there's no opportunity for us. So I think we should look really to all the mistakes that the previous parties make, you know, not really give attention to the most essential parts, you know, which concern every Namibian, except the one tribe. There's 13 other tribes who are really feel, you know, like you said, the pinch of that situation.
Which tribe is that?
It's the white tribe. It's the only tribe that really benefit. So our question is, how come can we change that? Because how come can only one tribe, you know, all the main resources, all the main functions, why they are blocking it, you know?
I hear you.
And that I think we can, if we are being allowed, you know, we can do our own thing. Like I said, we can put the recreational centers in the regions, and then we can also, for example, now we can even put a factory, a cutting and polishing factory here. We can even train our own people here, you know, how to make use of the stones just lying around. You understand?
Absolutely.
So if we can get the opportunity to do that, if UPN, I believe that UPN can, on the end of the day, we are going through the parliament, we believe that. And if we are at least in the parliament, you know, we can do something for our people.
The last question before I speak to the audience. UPM, do you think that it must spread its wings a little bit beyond, I don't know if I'm going to offend people by saying this, but beyond colored nationalism? Because it seems to be...
Yes, that's actually what UPM look into, you know, is, you know, because if you can see the first government, you know, it was mostly the majority, their people, they sort them out. Now LPM do the same, like the government did. So most of the people, you know, they have been helped. So I think UPN will definitely, on the end of the day, will make a change, you know, in terms of their various, you know, tribes present there. So it's not a one tribe movement of a platform, you know. So I think we will make definitely a change if we got the second chance, you know, to go in.
Absolutely.
To go in for the president, the next election, you know, 2029.
Thank you, thank you, Wom. Thank you, Wom.
Thank you.
So now we have an opportunity for our audience. Whoever wants to raise a question, you raise up your hand, we give you a mic. Make it straightforward, concise, so that we conserve speech. We conserve time. We have a hand there. Let's just give the roaming mic to the gentleman in in the audience. Yeah, sir, please go ahead with your...
Thank you twice, and thanks to the people on the high table. Mine is two issues that I quickly want to address. The one is a very serious matter that I think in Namibia we are taking politics for granted. We put people in politics that really don't look at the stats that are available. And the saddest part thereof is, you know, when we speak of PDM now before DTA, it's a sad reality. They have been the official opposition in this country from inception. I think only around 2009, they slacked down, they had about 2 seats. It's the only country where official opposition has not moved anything, has not moved the ruling party from its ideologies, from its principles, and has not put people into positions by lobbying, you know, getting the public involved in discourses that has occurred. There's a lot of amendments to laws that have been made over the years. You have not seen PDM as an official opposition, and that's a sad reality. The second issue is we say SWAPO has failed and all these things, including us. The question I want to pose to the people is to ask, what system of governance are you going to put in place? Because the democratic system as it is has failed us. It's too cumbersome. It has a lot of challenges. In fact, when we took over in 1990, the system was sort of pushed down on us because of time constraints, all these things. I think there was not proper research done. And worse, the people that implemented the system from SWAPO side were largely people that were not in the country. So they came out of exile and immediately got into positions and needed to run a system and put it into place. I blame that period for most of these problems that we have. Today, we are facing elections. We need a complete overhaul of most of the laws, the systems that we are running. So my question is, what system are you proposing? What changes are you really proposing that's going to change the course of Namibia? Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. There's a gentleman there who also has a question or a comment.
Good evening, high table and everybody present. I am having two concerns. Youth.
Yeah, please.
Youth empowerment. Talking of youth empowerment, I mean, young people of Hardap and Karas are unemployed. A lot of us. Almost 90% of young people, let's say 25 until 35, you will get unemployed people, say for instance, go to, on an ordinary day to ShopRite, and you will see that a lot of people are standing around there. We are unemployed, we are dwelling, we are doing unnecessary things, we're engaging in crime, all those things. Ms. PDM was saying that they are seeking of solutions. I don't know what solutions. She mentioned what we are seeking of the solutions. You did not clarify. What is it that you are planning on implementing after winning? If it happens that PDM wins, what are we expecting from you? LPM, UBM, what are we expecting? UBM was concerned about, mostly it's just you hear about previously disadvantaged people with disabilities. What about us without disabilities? Are we just focusing on disabled people, or what about the future of we are busy with safeguarding for Hardap and Karas? There's a controversial oil coming? Are we going to benefit from there? We are worried. Is there refinery projects coming up? I mean, there's crude oil coming out of the ground. That oil needs to be refined. Is it going abroad? Are we losing out on our own things as well? Those are the concerns that we are sitting of. Yeah. Secondly, housing, land. We are sitting with a land issue. If you give an unemployed gentleman like me an oven, how do I construct my house? How do I maintain that house? If it happens that maybe I put on a zinkaya there, how do I maintain? There's electricity coming, free electricity. There's water coming, but how do I pay my bills? What is it that we are implementing? Is the future of our regions, especially we have been left out for so long. I was born in Rebov, in St. Mary's Hospital. And then I grew up in the south. I started my schooling in Amberbo, grade 1, Mugoro Primary School. I went from there with my mother. My godmother who raised me. She's a teacher. Went to Koros. I'm traveling since, and then I was raised by his, maybe you will know Mr. Dax, Alfred Stephanus Dax. I was raised in a Swapo era. He told me that land is a finite resource. Even a cup of soil is something that needs to be valued. Mr. UBM knows Mr. Dax because he's from Rebov, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Mr. Dax told me that land, if you acquire land, how are you going to maintain that land? If you plant a seed on that land that you have acquired, how are you going to water it if you cannot pay water? If you are unemployed, what are the measures that we are taking?
I think you've made your point, sir. Thank you.
So I think the leadership should elaborate on those things. The solutions that you are sitting with, Ms. PDM, the varsities that's been built, this up here, there's named. It came maybe 2 years back in Keetmanshoop. We have a nest, but then it's just the other people who's coming to go there. There's no Hardapians, no people from Karas. Go do Kekanagap. It was this year. We started this year, but then I think most of the people going there, it's other people.
I think you've made your point.
We as maybe Hardapians, we don't go to Valambolas and those places. So please.
Yeah, thank you.
Let's look at those things.
Thank you. There's one more hand there. We take one more question. You had a question? Okay. We take one more and then we revert. Then we do the last round.
Right. My question is quietly directed to the leadership of PDM. So she earlier made a statement whereby she said, Honorable Venani is not just a leader that speaks, but he implements. But on that, I wanted to ask, what projects have you already, as the official opposition party, have you already invented? What project have you invented here in the southern part of Namibia, especially for Marintal to be quite specific? What projects are currently invented whereby the young people are benefiting from? Because you have been already being the official opposition party, but what have you invented currently? Since you also continue saying we should just lend you our votes, but what have you already? And quite keep it on not the futuristic, but what have you previously already invented? That's my question.
Thank you. Thank you. We will engage the panel quickly, and then we see if there are further questions or comment afterwards. Who wants to go first? Might be yeah, please go first.
Firstly, let me answer your question as to what has been implemented by the Popular Democratic Movement. As you know, Bruno, which is also part of Hardap, there has been a clinic that has been put up there by the PDM. And PDM is not the ruling party, just to be clear on that. And not only that, but so many motions that has been tabled in the parliament by the Popular Democratic Movement for the benefit of youth, for the benefit of the people of Namibia, has been adopted to the benefit of even the Hardapians, which we call Hardapians. And then I would like to answer your question on, your first question was the concern of just adopting after Resolution 435, we just adopted this new democratic government. Looking at the PDM's manifesto and seeing that we are clearly stating that there is a lot of policies and protocols that needs to be implemented. And PDM is willing to work on those protocols and policies. And so many policies, so many protocols has been, not talking about policies itself, but so many protocols has been signed by the ruling government. And these protocols are just on white paper. So these protocols need to be implemented and it needs to be put into action. And the only way to do that is what we've explained in our manifesto. And I remember my Democrat also mentioning that, yes, PDM is saying that we are going to support irrigation, or we are going to support farming and all that, or we're going to seed farm, or how do you call it? We're going to provide funding, seed funding for farmers in order for them to grow their crops or to grow their small stock or whatever they are planning on doing. And in our manifesto, we're clearly saying that by doing so, we are putting clear mentor programs behind these farmers, behind these SMEs, to make sure that this program doesn't fail. Do you understand? So we're not just going to give somebody money. Our manifesto is very clear in saying that yes, we will provide the proper mentorship to make sure that these things are implemented. Yes, we've been the official opposition for so many years. And through that, we have brought a leader that is standing for the people, not only on the national level, but on international grounds, fighting for the rights of the Namibian people. We are even mentioning in our manifesto that we are going to renegotiate the genocide. We are mentioning in our manifesto that we are going to renegotiate the oil deals. We are making it clear, we are not the ruling government. We are the soldier behind the ruling government. We are the one that is keeping them on their toes. That's why so many concerns has come out of corruption. You cannot say that PDM has been official opposition for so long. What has it done? Look at the track records of how PDM has stood up for this country, for this nation, within parliament. How many times our president stood up to fight to make sure that corruption is addressed?
Yeah.
And apologies, Toivo, just to add something.
Yeah, briefly.
The current situation, which I've just mentioned. Where is LPM? Where is UPM? Where's all these other parties? We are all Namibians. We are all concerned for our voters. Yet we're having a situation where there is a concern with regards to the ballot papers being printed. And who stood up and went out into the street to protest, to say, enough is enough, we will not allow this? It was PDM. So how can you come back and say, what did the official opposition do, or what is it doing?
Okay, I think that's a fair comment. Mr. Dowsep.
Okay, I think I want to dwell on the issue of the youth. Knowing that the youth is 71% of the population, we specifically, also in terms of our representation and our candidates to the parliament, to the National Assembly, as a fair representation around the 45% of them that goes to represent the young people, because you can't make decisions without the people that is affected, and therefore bringing them in so that they become part of the mainstream in terms of decision making. Secondly, with the youth, we said, what we are going to do is we are going to ask specifically that the banks would allow to have young people being given loans without collateral. loans without collateral. Then, thirdly, what we are advocating is, we are saying, for instance, that in terms of the regional development, we must allow the young people and the women in particular, that they be given preferential treatment, because when you help a mother, you help the family, because the children are there. It comes from the mother, and therefore if you help the mother, you help the children.
Yeah.
So specifically targeting on the women of this country. The other, what we are saying is, it's not true that if you put money in the hands of people, all people are going to drink. That's not true. That has been proven all over the world that that is not true. And therefore we do believe with the oil discoveries and the green hydrogen and whatever there is, that especially from the oil revenues generated, that monies must go directly in the hands of each and every Namibian.
Yeah.
Whether it's a 1,500 or 1,800, but that money must go. With the disabilities and the old age grants, we have been saying that since 2009 with the formation, that we need to increase our old age pensions to 3,000 Namibian dollars. Maybe it's good that we are pace setters, and SWAPO party and whoever is copying what LPM is saying, I so much appreciate. Yeah. It just shows leadership and innovation from LPM side. But the other issue also is that we are saying, for instance, let's not give quotas to individuals. You see, with the quotas at this moment, we've got around 154,000 tons, metric tons of hake that is going on quotas, around 330,000 metric tons of horse mackerel that goes. When you put those amounts together, each region can at least get 150 million Namibian dollars on an annual basis in terms of the development of the region. Now, there's the one thing that I would like to mention here. What frustrates and especially us that are in the leadership, is making us agitated, is that people have squandered the natural resources of this country, to the extent that 1,763 people in Namibia owns 85% of the wealth of this country. That's ridiculous. Yeah. That's unacceptable. And that thing happened under the watchful eye of SWAPO party and PDM that had been the official opposition in this country. So we need to deal with the issue of the corruption part. Yeah. We must bring people-centered participation in terms of the development on the ground. Yeah. But also, as I have said, specifically to the specific regions, that we need to bring development to the people in the region. Yeah. So when we have 150, the issue of housing was raised. Yes. The issue of housing, we do believe, within the next 5 years, we can build 200,000 houses at a value of around 200,000 Namibian dollars. That would require a 40 billion Namibian dollars. And 8 billion Namibian dollars are required to build around 40,000 houses all over the country in a year. That would give at least 70,000 jobs to the people on the ground. Whilst we are saying that, for the young people, that we must have an educational system that is free of charge, not only on primary and secondary level, but also on the tertiary level. Yeah. In Botswana, the students are paid to go to school. Whilst we are rich in this country with natural resources, we are making around 2 billion Namibian dollars here at Sossusvlei. Yet the people of the region, for instance, are not benefiting out of the 2 billion Namibian dollars that are made. Yet our minister, Pohamba Shefeta, was trying to give Lapan Gandume and tender to have a motorized train there, that would make the ability had around to make 40 million Namibian dollars. That is not fine. Yeah. Recently, there is a concession that went out there for the communities of Malta here. We have understood. Another person in the name I understood of Dorgaloy has been brought in, and he is now providing services in terms of transporting people from the stopover to the dead flay. And that one vehicle on a daily basis, minimum, is making around 130,000 Namibian dollars to move people. You see, that is around the millions and millions. Yet, in that contract, it states that the community is benefiting 5%, which is at max around the 250,000 a year. Is that fair? Why is this government, this SWAPO government, killing us and are taking away the benefits that can go to the people in the watchful eye of PDM being the official opposition? I must also say that issue of Lapan Gandume, I went there together with the management committee, and we went and condemned that motorized train. And we were even ready to decide that that thing would not be built there. That is the extent to which we go. I must say, we are not looking as Namibians, as LPM, as those that are governing, not only on a one-sided view, but a holistic understanding as to how do we bring in everyone from wherever to answer the problem of sharing and equitable distribution of wealth in this country. Because people can have houses here in this country. And the problem here is political will. The political will is the problem. The other bigger problem that we have is SWAPO Party is saying unity in diversity. They failed dismally in terms of the unity in diversity. We, coming from the colonial and apartheid era, we have been located at specific areas in the country. The Namas and the Busters, to the southern part of the region, the Horeros to the eastern side, the Omaheke region. And when we administratively then demarcate the areas, those areas also specifically are saying that Heros are staying in Omaheke region. And all of us know this. This is an open secret to all of us. Now, when there is a report that, for instance, says that 90% of the budget over the past 30 years went to the 4O regions, whilst in the 4O regions, in terms of statistics, 2011, in terms of the census, it says 97% of the people that are living in the Ohangwena region is speaking Oshivambo. 94% of the people in Oshana is speaking Oshivambo. To my understanding, if you're telling me that in that house, those people are talking Nama, I would assume that they are Namas. So my understanding is SWAPO wanted to secure their voting bloc in terms of the 4O regions, and therefore they have pumped in 90% of, and in that they have created animosity against, and we, this is our brothers. Okay, Oshivambo, my child, my grandchild is Oshivambo. So what I'm saying is, whilst right in the center of this country, in the north, on your right-hand side to the eastern side, you have Kavango West, Kavango East, and Zambezi. And they are declared, in terms of the assessment on the multidimensional poverty index, that they are the poorest in the region, in the country, in terms of 74% of that margin. And then you have got Kavango East, Kavango West. And then you jump the 4O regions, and then you move and say, Kunene is also the most poorest one. What are you saying? Mine is the political will. SWAPO Party has deliberately, those that stayed in the Kavango regions, those that speak majority Rukongwali and Silozi in those regions, they deliberately made them poor. They deliberately went against trying to help those people to come up. That tells me that they failed us dismally in terms of maintaining and managing the diversity of this country. They must know that in the Hardap region, the majority are Namas. They must know. So when they are bringing a development here, they are bringing development to the Namas. And when they are taking things to Kunene region, we know the Damaras and the Heroes of Bambandero, the majority in Kunene region, therefore when you take development, coming yesterday. I'm coming from Omusati, where we had a meeting on Sunday. And what the people are saying in Omusati and Otapi is this. I went personally to and checked Sophia Shaningwa's house. I was like, wow, mention. and so the people are saying there are specific people that are elite that has got the wealth, but
Mr.
the,
Swab,
but the one person
how does Mr. Swab's
alongside-
house look like?
Sorry.
How does Mr. Swab's house
Now, how
look
does
like?
my house look like? I think my house is better than Bernardo Sorbo's house. You don't know. I think you must check mine. But I must conclude by saying this,
Yeah,
Twebo.
yeah.
I must say this. We must find a holistic approach in terms of dealing with all the matters and not trying to deal with one matter at a time. That would not work. We must deal with the issue of fisheries, we must deal with the issue of education, we must deal with the issue of the youth, the housing issues, and everything must be prioritized. And I think at this moment, since we are a leftist party, in terms of the social well-being of the individuals, the benefits must go to the people, and we must not try to keep laws. We must change the laws to benefit the people on the ground.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think in the interest of time, we will not do the second round again because we were supposed to end at 19:30. But I will give Uncle Roger the last throw of the dice. Okay. Please speak to the people with conviction to round off this vibrant and entertaining conversation.
Okay. Yeah, I just want to add to my two comrades, in terms of education, if you see that the existing government already built UNAMs, at different places. We, UPN, see also that why can we get also UNAM here for our youth people? And many opportunities, like our community says, only went to, to a certain group of tribe group, I think to give it a name, I think we have the problem of racism. Because if you see what SWAPO did, towards the people, and if you see how the landless people now, operating, it's basically the same, because they are struggling only for their people, and they are pushing our people down, especially now in our township now in Sono. We struggle so many years. We doesn't have even a community wall. We doesn't even have a office. I try many years before, since independent, I try to ask for office, but they just show me a way, and then more attitude than wisdom or the real thing. So I think our problem lies solely in that we have that discrimination against each other. Although we are 14 tribes here, maybe more, in Namibia. So I think we have to work on that, not especially as a political party, but as people of Namibia. We have to work on that, because that is a very dangerous thing, that one, because so many, like the youth said, the youth also, they need assistance from the government, but they never get it really. It's the same like with our matter. There's opportunities only for certain tribes. And only certain tribes can get advantage of that opportunities, and not the other ones. So I think we should really go into ourselves, and look at this racism problem, because it's a big problem, and that is the one who is destroying, our future.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Uncle Roger, thank you for making time today. We appreciate your time.
You're welcome, Joe. You're welcome.
Chief Dausab, thank you very much, really, for hosting us in your region, because you are the regional leader here. So and for humbling us with your presence. So thank you very much.
Always a pleasure.
Yeah, wonderful. Pete, thank you for also making time. I know that you traveled all the way from Rehoboth to be here. We really appreciate your humility and contribution to this important conversation.
Thank you, Toyo.
Yeah.
And thank you, listeners.
Yeah,
thank
absolutely.
you for the audience.
Yes.
Yes, thank
No, we
you very
appreciate.
much.
Thank you to everybody who showed up. I think it's very important that we come here in our diversity. I see everybody's wearing their party's attire, and the fact that we can sit under one roof is very important, because our country stands out head and shoulder above many countries who cannot have people of political diversity under one roof. It could have been a lot of violence and pushing and pulling. So this is a true Namibian spirit, so we are very thankful to all of you. And to our viewers at home, thank you very much for making time. I think this was a very informative conversation. Like we said, again, we'd like to make it clear that we invited also the ruling party, SWAPO, which is, I think, the second biggest party here in the region, to also come and reflect and to answer to some of the things that have been said here today. But Governor Solomon was not available. He tendered his apology. But the party itself, we did ask them, and they said they will not participate because they speak, their exact word, we speak to people directly, and we cannot force them to do it otherwise. Thank you for watching.